Welcome to This Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled you're here today because we're going to do something incredibly practical and honestly highly rewarding. We aren't just going to sit around talking theory. Nope. We're going to roll up our sleeves and actually build a fully functional student records management system entirely from scratch. By the end of this session, you're going to see exactly how databases work behind the scenes to keep our digital world so perfectly organized. But hey, before we dive into the code, let me ask you something. Are you the type of person who just loves to solve puzzles? Do you get a kick out of thinking analytically and cracking a really good logic problem? Well, if you're nodding your head right now, you are in exactly the right place. Programming and database management can sometimes seem a bit intimidating from the outside, but at their core, they're literally just the ultimate puzzle toolkit. You see, programming gives us this incredible opportunity to create, to explore, and to work directly with pure logic. And structured query language, or SQL, well, that's the specific logic toolkit we use to master the puzzle of data. It's how we take massive, chaotic amounts of information and organize the whole shebang into something neat, highly searchable, and incredibly powerful. Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. 1. The puzzle of programming. 2. Blueprinting your first database. 3. Populating the tables. 4. Connecting data with relationships. And 5. Querying your student database. Let's jump right into section 1, the puzzle of programming. Now, what's really interesting here is how SQL perfectly divides its labor into two main categories of commands. On one side, we've got data definition language, or DDL. These are basically your architectural commands, right? Things like create, alter, and drop. They build the actual structure of your tables. Think of them as building the actual rooms of a house. Then on the other side, we have data manipulation language, DML. These are commands like select, insert, update, and delete. So if DDL builds the house, DML is how you move the furniture in, rearrange it, or eventually throw it out. So, applying those tools directly to our student records project, our macro process looks a bit like this. First, we use those DDL commands to actually create the tables. Then we flip over to DML to insert the data representing our students and our courses. Next up, we enroll those students by linking that data together. And finally, we assign grades. As you can see, it's a highly logical step-by-step puzzle. Moving on to section 2, blueprinting your first database. Okay, so here's the blueprint for our very first table, the students table. We're going to use the create command to set this up. Notice how every single piece of information has a designated data type. For example, the student's name and email use VARC, which, just means variable character text. The enrollment date obviously uses the date format, but I want you to pay special attention to that very first row, student_ID. It uses an integer, or INT, and is designated as our primary key. This is absolutely crucial. It means every single student gets a unique digital fingerprint, guaranteeing we never accidentally confuse two students who happen to have the exact same name. We do the exact same thing to blueprint our courses table. It gets its own primary key, course ID, and a text column for the course_name. But take a look at that third column, teacher_ID. This right here is called a foreign key. And honestly, this is where the real magic of relational databases happens. This column creates a direct relationship, essentially a link, back to a completely separate teacher's table. So instead of typing out the teacher's full name and details every single time a course is listed, we just reference their unique ID. It keeps our database incredibly efficient and, for sure, prevents a ton of annoying typos. All right, section 3, populating the tables. So the real crucial point here is how we actually get data into those pristine, empty tables we just built. We switch over to our data manipulation tools and fire up the insert command. For instance, to add a new student, we'd write a query that essentially says, insert into the students table these specific values. And just like that, boom, our first fictional student, Julio Stokes, along with his email and phone number 0987654321, becomes a permanent record in our system. But obviously, Julio isn't just standing around in an empty school. He actually needs to take a class. We have a specific table called enrollments designed exactly for this purpose. So we run another insert command, but this time we tell the database to insert student ID number 1 into course ID number 2. Notice we don't need to spell out his name or the specific course name. The database simply uses those primary and foreign keys we talked about earlier to instantly understand exactly who is taking what. Next up, section 4, connecting data with relationships.
Now, let's say Julio got a new cell phone. We absolutely do not want to delete his entire student file just to recreate it. That'd be crazy. Instead, we use the update command. We write a query instructing the database to update the student's table, specifically to set the new phone number to 987-654-3210. But listen, here is the vital part. We absolutely must use a where clause. We say, update the phone number where the student ID equals 1. This targeted precision ensures we only update Julio's record. Otherwise, we'd accidentally overwrite the phone numbers of literally every single student in the entire school. No way we want that.
Similarly, if Julio decides course 2 just isn't for him, we use the delete command. And again, precision is totally key here. We tell the system to delete from the enrollments table, where the student underscore ID is 1 and the course ID is 2. This effectively unenrolls him by removing that specific relationship record, but it completely leaves his main student profile alone and obviously doesn't delete the course itself. Which brings us to Section 5, querying your student database. When you really want to interrogate your database for answers, well, the select statement is going to be your best friend. It's the primary command used to retrieve data. You pair select with the where clause to filter your rows based on highly specific conditions. Want to find all the students who enrolled last Tuesday? Select and where will get you that exact list in literally milliseconds. You can even use order by to sort the results alphabetically, or group by to organize all that data into meaningful little buckets. But I gotta say, where SQL really starts to feel like an absolute superpower is when we get into aggregate functions. These are built-in commands that let you perform some seriously powerful mathematics and analysis on your data right on the fly. We're talking about commands like count, sum, AVG for average, min for minimum, and of course, max for maximum. Let's just look at this syntax for a second here. These functions basically operate on a specified column of data. For instance, sum is going to calculate the total of all the numerical values in a column, while AVG will automatically calculate the mean for you. Let's see exactly how this works in practice within our school database. Let's move to and see how this builds our understanding of the school's daily operations. If the principal comes up to you and asks, hey, exactly how many students are enrolled in course 1 right now? You don't need to go counting them manually. You just simply run a query using the count function right on the enrollments table, filtering it for course 1. And in a fraction of a second, SQL returns the exact total number of students.
Now, what if we want to know the overall performance of that specific course? Well, we can use the AVG function. But wait, grades are usually letters, right? Like A, B, C. The cool thing is, SQL allows us to use a really clever case statement within our query to temporarily convert those letters into numerical values. Like an A becomes a 4, a B becomes a 3, that sort of thing. Once they're converted to numbers, the AVG function seamlessly computes the overall grade point average for every single student in course 1. And what if a teacher wants to find the absolute highest achiever in course 2? It's literally as simple as throwing the max command on the grades column for that specific course. SQL instantly scans through what could be thousands of records to pull out the single highest grade achieved. I promise you, it's incredibly satisfying to pull real, actionable insights out of raw data that quickly. So we've gone from a totally empty screen to a fully structured, data-rich management system. You've really seen firsthand how programming truly is about creating and exploring with logic. SQL provides the blueprint and the tools, but you provide the vision. So my final question to you is this. Now that you actually understand the mechanics of these data puzzles, what world will you build with your next database? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.